Let's talk about something very serious. The movie The Parent Trap from 1961. The movie from Parent Trap, I haven't seen any of these before, and I watched both of them. This one is not as good as the Lindsay Lohan one, in my opinion. Boom, 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 boom. I said it. I just think Lindsay Lohan one improved upon it for the most part. A lot of the things that I was like, I don't know about that, the Lindsay Lohan one fixed it. And I was like, okay, they actually were trying to make a little more sense in a lot of the areas I felt. Anyway, and I appreciated that about it. But we're not there yet. We're talking about this one, and this one wasn't bad. It wasn't that bad. But this was a huge hit. Critics seem to like this one more. People seem to like this one generally more than the Lindsay Lohan, at least online from what I've looked at on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, on the audience scores and the critic scores and stuff. But overall, I definitely like the Lindsay Lohan one more. Let's look at what it says on Rotten Tomatoes. 90%, so that's like crazy across the board. They just nailed it with the 90% critics score. Out of 20 reviews, though, that's not that many reviews, though. Also, I bet the Lindsay Lohan one has more reviews. I betcha. But we'll get there when we get there. 75% audience score, 100,000 ratings. See, that's more about where I would maybe put it, roughly, maybe even lower. We'll see I'm not sure what I'm feeling yet. I don't know. We'll get there. But let's look at is there critics? There's not even a critics consensus. There's not enough reviews for a critics consensus, I think. Maybe that's why. It's just great romantic comedy writing. I don't know. It's okay. I thought this was alright. And we'll get into my notes, but to more specifics. But yeah, this was okay. The Lindsay Lohan one was better. As I've already said that a lot, but it's true. Irrelevant and dated. Someone was reviewing this in 2005. Well, of course it fucking is. It's from 1961. You fucking oaf. Hayley Mills rocks in a dual role as twins. You know, they both the sets of twins do well. I think Lindsay Lohan did a better job. I think there's more emotion or something that just feels like more of a realistic what a kid is like. Although in the 60s, kids acted differently, so maybe I'm just biased because it's in the 90s, and I'm more used to how people talked and stuff in the 90s. Maybe this is accurate. Did people talk like that in the 60s? I think at least somewhat. Like the proper speak is what I mean. How they talk in this movie. Like, oh yes, my dear. And I have a little bit of notes about that. We'll get more into that, I bet. But yeah, mostly people like this. I think it's only 2 out of 20 didn't like it, so that would be a decent score out of 20 if you got 18 out of 20. 75%. Alright. Let's go check out the IMDb. We checked out the Rotten Tomatoes. 7.2 out of 10 it gets on IMDb. That's fair. That's in the range I would put it, probably. Maybe, like I said, maybe even a little lower, maybe in the 6 point somethings, but it's not bad. We'll get into it. Both of these movies are too long, though. They're both the exact same length, which is kind of funny. The Lindsay Lohan one and this one are both 2 hours and 9 minutes, which is peculiar, but I guess it's not that peculiar because it's based on this, the one's based on the other one, but still, it still feels a little like it didn't, the things they added and they changed, it wasn't even a minute difference or anything, it's just exactly the same. I still think that's a little crazy. Anyways, I don't really know any of these actors. I like this woman, Nancy Culp. She's in stuff. I can't remember what else I've seen her, but I've seen her in something. She's good. Miss Grunnecker is who she played. I think the performances that I like the best in this one were like of the camp counselors, these seasoned actors. They did a really good job, but not that the kid didn't do bad, but I think Lindsay Lohan was the standout out of the two options, of the two sets of twins. Which again, they're just the same actor. Which honestly, that's one thing. It was pretty. They did a pretty impressive job with this movie, with how they were able to split up, especially for the time. Like Lindsay Lohan, yeah, they did a good job, but it would have been easier probably then. It probably would have been kind of a little bit newfangled and perhaps challenging to pull that off in the 60s. But they did it with the same actor and stuff. Obviously, you have doubles and all those tricks, but still, there's scenes when they're like together. And I think like you split the film, but I didn't really notice the film line or anything. It looked good. Una Merkel. Yeah, I don't know any of these actors really, but I liked the camp counselors. The female camp counselors were real good. Let's look at the box office return. So 25 million gross, 29 million. So I don't know what, it doesn't say the budget here, so I don't really know, but it grossed 29 million worldwide and 25 million. Not sure what the budget was though. If it was small, then but I don't know. I don't know if it would have been that small for this movie. But in the 60s, yeah, I have no idea. To account for inflation and everything. I'm not sure. But anyways, let's just move on to my notes. Because I got a few. Let's grab my notepad here. And by my notepad, I mean my old iPhone. So yeah, this movie was, like I said, it's okay. It's just a little long. Both these movies are too long, but this one is less entertaining, a little more boring, I felt. Maybe just because it's older. Maybe I'm biased, but that's just how I felt watching it. Especially compared to the Lindsay Lohan one. But anyway, I digress. Let's check out The Parent Trap 1961 notes. The cool opening titles. This is one of the things that I think this one did better than the other movie with Lindsay Lohan. I liked the titles because it was like stop motion and they're like handmade letters and it looks really good. And I'm a sucker for that sort of style. But it also has some weird transitions that I just don't think aged well. They just don't seem they don't work well with the pacing or something. Just like weird fades and stuff that don't really make sense to me from an editing standpoint. Anyway, that's not a problem with the plot. It's just a problem with the editing, in my opinion. Again, would people who look similar be mad? So this is one thing too that very clearly Lindsay Lohan did better, or not specifically Lindsay Lohan, but the movie with her did better. Because in this one, the only reason, because in both movies they have them sort of mad at each other at first, the twins, the two sets of twins, that they meet at summer camp, and they get like mad at each other. And in the first one, and this one, it's just because they're mad that they look like each other, basically. It's such a weak reason for them to be fighting. But the Lindsay Lohan one, they have like, with the fencing, and they don't see each other at first, and then they get into a competition and they're trying to beat each other as the best fencer in the summer camp. So there's that built tension that isn't reliant just on them being similar looking. I think that's just a stupid reason to be mad. It's like, how dare you look like me? It's my face. That was literally the argument in this movie, and I think that's stupid. The camp dance cliche. This isn't necessarily a bad note. It just was a note that they did, every movie when there's a summer camp, it's like you gotta have the dance scene, even though they're not at the camp for that much of the movie, really. Like maybe 20 or 30 minutes of this 2 hours, they're at the camp. And of course, they have to have a dance in that time. The classic camp dance cliche. They say tense. Yeah, this is something that I thought was really weird. They say tense when they're talking about the cabins, and I thought that was really weird. It's like, those aren't tents. They're fucking cabins. And I thought that was crazy. Oh, and someone said something about wood lore. I guess that's a thing. But I just thought that was funny. Like, what wood lore are you gonna tell me? Like, this wood was carved from the sanctum of lore of 20,072 BC. Like, I don't know even what I'm saying, but I just don't get wood lore. What is wood lore? That's my note. Good job of showing one actress, two people. For the 60s, they did do a good job of this. I sort of already explained that, though. Calling Dad Dreamy is weird. Yeah, this part's a little creepy. They call the dad Dreamy, and it's like, just the way they say it. You can say he's handsome, that's fine. They say that. But then they say he's dreamy. It's like, that seems just a little more, just slightly across the line. For me, anyway. Wouldn't Driver hear girl studying family? Yeah, so the big plot, if people don't know, is that these twins meet each other. Their parents are divorced, and they didn't even know they had a sister, and they meet each other at camp, and then they plan to switch places, and they go back to the opposite parent, of course, that they were with before, and then they're trying to get them back together, hence the name of the movie, Parent Trap. So they have to go switch the kids back, of course, because, one of them's the legal guardian to one of them, and the dad's to the other one, and so on. So they have to meet them and meet each other again after so many years of being divorced. So that's the whole point, that they're trying to get them back together, right? And she is in the back seat when she switched. She's going to this fancy mansion, and the driver, Martin, or I think his name's, maybe it's not Martin in the other movie, but whatever. The driver is just like listening to her talking about, oh yeah, I gotta remember this and do this because I'm trying to be a twin. She's like talking about her plan basically out loud. So I just thought that was weird. It's like, wouldn't the driver figure it out? He figures it out, but later on, like, he would have figured it out right there. It's like, clearly something fishy is going on. Why are you trying to remember the things you should already know, Doesn't make any sense. One twin having a British accent adds nothing. So, I sort of take that back because I just think they didn't do this right. Because I couldn't even tell. It's such a light British accent, or it flows so evenly with the way that they talked in the 60s, that sort of proper speak, that I just didn't even notice the British thing, and they don't even have them. If they had them going to London like they do in the Lindsay Lohan one, it would make more sense, but they don't. They have them just go to Boston, and it's just confusing. It would have made more sense without that, for me, anyway. For this one, or unless they did it better, like they went to London, actually, like in the Lindsay Lohan one. But yeah, it adds nothing. She can just ride a horse, I guess. Because in both of these movies, this is sort of a note for both of them, because everyone can just ride a horse. I guess maybe I'm just like one of those people who just have never rode a horse, but it seems like I can't believe that like both twins just knew how to ride a horse. One didn't own a horse, but the other one just knew how to ride a horse. And I was like, really? I thought they would have a scene with her, like, they could have had some comedy, with her not knowing how to ride the horse, and he could be like, you forget how to ride a horse or something. Like, or, that's just on the top of my head, but you know what I mean? They could have done something with that. But yeah, she can just ride a horse, I guess. But I guess it's fine. Little things like playing piano show their differences in a comedic way. Like, there was little scenes like that where she's just playing the piano and like really quite advanced stuff. It's like, oh, I just learned at summer camp. That's kind of funny because it's clearly, the opposite twin that learned who knows how to do piano and the other one doesn't. And he doesn't know that. So I think that's funny. Little scenes like that are cute. Everyone is so rich. And I think it would have been more interesting if like one of the twins was poor or something and they had to go. I get that like they're coming from a family that was broken up, so the chances are they would have similar wealth, I suppose, because maybe, they have to split it up when they got divorced or whatever. I'm not sure. They didn't get into all those details. But yeah, everyone's so rich, and it would maybe be more interesting if one of them was poor, and they have like the poor person living the rich life. I guess that's a little bit of a cliche, but still. I thought it might have made the movie a little more interesting, in my opinion. Anyway, but yeah, have one of them rich, have one of them poor. It's classic, but I think it would have been fun. Mom doesn't look that much older than Vicky. Yeah, and they do this. This is another thing that they do better in the other film because they have a woman that actually looks younger. In this movie, they both the women look the same age to me. Maybe one is older, but doesn't seem much older. And if she is much older, she does not look much older. They look same age to me, honestly. Maybe I'm crazy, but definitely did a better job of that in the Lindsay Lohan one, was showing the age differences. Because they're acting like, oh, this young thing in this movie, and she's like looks the same age as you, but who really knows, right? Because people can look different and stuff, and that it's passable enough, but I still thought that was a little weird. Anyways, parents and guardians only notice phone calls when it's convenient to the plot. Yeah, it's like they get these phone calls and you wonder what's going on, like where are the parents? In the Lindsay Lohan one, they show you where the parents are when they're getting the phone calls. But in the other one, it's like, what's going on? Why aren't they picking it up? But they do pick up, of course. The grandpa does when it's convenient to the plot. Of course. Nobody contacts Dad about coming. Wouldn't Dad deal with Mom's situation immediately? Oh yeah, nobody Dad. This is sort of like a plot point, I guess. This isn't really that. I don't think this is that bad of a note in hindsight, but nobody contacts Dad about Mom coming, so no one tells him. That's sort of the point, I guess. But the way that they do it is kind of dumb because he doesn't know that the wife is coming to switch the daughters. So he's supposed to marry this Vicky woman. Like I said, the younger woman. But he falls into a pool because he sees her, and it's like, wouldn't he then go and deal with her because he's seen her now? He's fallen into some stuff, and you think he would deal with that after that, but no, he just keeps going. He goes back to his business, with talking to the minister about getting married, with to this Vicky woman. But then he just does it again. He falls into the pool from seeing her again. It's like, okay, the bit didn't work the first time. You're doing it again. And again, they do this how they meet for the first time in however many years. They do this better, again, in the Lindsay Lohan movie. And which we will get to. I don't know if the dad would have a black eye. Yeah, this doesn't look like she hit him that hard, but that's a minor note, kind of a nitpick, but it just didn't look that good for a fake punch, Crazy they organized performance so fast. Yeah, so I think I honestly thought that there was going to be a thing in the Lindsay Lohan with them doing something like this, and there is something like this, but they don't go quite as far as this one goes, because the twins actually arrange like a very elaborate musical number show while they're having their first date. They're giving some entertainment while they eat, sort of. But yeah, they're doing this crazy elaborate dance and song, and it's like the twins have been united for maybe an afternoon. How are they organizing this so quickly? It's absolutely insane. So like, good on them. That's impressive, but they should be like professional singers and dancers that if they're able to do that quickly and that like polished, like boom, put them on the Broadway. I guess they're in movies, but that's not their character, right? Anyways, wouldn't the dad, already said that, wouldn't Dad deal with the mom situation immediately? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It seems like he would. But he just has to fall down twice for comedy, I guess. I don't know. Oh, wait, I already read that. Crazy they organized. I read all these. Okay, sorry. Kids breaking up romance would be worse if Vicky was nice. Yes, it would. The only reason this movie works is because it's based around them trying to stop the dad from getting remarried. And like if she was nice, this would be the worst movie. But you obviously they have to make her mean, right? So you want her to get trashed and put honey on her feet so bears scare her or whatever. That's a prank they do later on her. They put some honey on her toes and the bears come try to eat her. Well, not really. It's just little cubs, and that's why it's okay. But I was also like, when they did that, I was like, the bears, like, that's dangerous, isn't it? Like, what if it was a real bear that just, like, ate her feet? And they just act like it's a silly prank, and I guess, but it's like, they got lucky, sort of. You could have attracted a big bear, for all you know. That's crazy, right? Oh, kids breaking up. Oh yeah, no, I remember. Honey on the toes, potentially dangerous. That's basically what I just talked about. So I'll move on to the last. No, I don't think this would work in reality. The whole concept of the Parent Trap. Usually, if people are broken up, especially for that long, it means they're broken up for a reason. So the chances that they would actually get back together are low. But of course, they have to. It's a Disney movie. Happy couple, happy movie, happy ending. But that's the end of my notes, so that's the end of my review, and we'll move on to the next movie. But first things first, let's give this a good old rating. What should I give The Parent Trap 1961? So I liked it okay. It was alright. Not great. It just could have been better in a lot of areas, which have been proven to me by watching the Lindsay Lohan one. It did a lot of things better than this one. I'm going to give it 6.4 is what I'm feeling for it, honestly. 6.4, honestly. And yeah, I like the Lindsay Lohan like quite a bit more, honestly. So I'll probably give it a reasonable amount higher than this. The Parent Trap, 1961, 6.4 out of 10 ducks.